Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This will be my review of Halo Infinite, the campaign and the multiplayer. I will be splitting them up into two different parts, and then a few other parts to explain different parts of the game, more in depth than initially. Now, right off the back, I think it's worth saying that this is a step in the right direction for the franchise. You know, it's been a while since we've been able to say that about a Halo game, and I think it's important that we give it its recommendation when we finally get the game that we've been looking towards, and the campaign that we've wanted for so long. Now, first off, I would like to speak on the characters. Now, Master Chief is not Halo 4 Master Chief. He's Halo 2, Halo 3 Master Chief, with some Halo 4 implemented, meaning he's not this weird Master Chief that is too talkative and it doesn't feel right when he's talking. If you've played Halo 3 and Halo 4, you know what I'm trying to say. It's back to his amazing self. Now, one of the biggest complaints I think I have with the characters has to be Echo, the pilot. He's executed well in the sense of what he's supposed to do, which is be the character that's always doubting the craziness that's going on and just wants to live his life at home. But that's a good sense of him. The bad sense of him is the whiny part of him. He's so whiny, and I know that's probably what they wanted. I think it's just executed very poorly, making him seem more like a little child than anything, and that's disappointing. Now, the weapon is an amazing character on the sense of what it's supposed to be, which is the replacement to Cortana, but I would have liked the weapon to not try to be Cortana, and I feel like that's the problem. I think they had an opportunity to reset the character, to give us new life in the franchise, give us a new character that we've been desperate for, and they failed. I think they wanted to give us too much nostalgia, and that's where I'm kind of disappointed. Now that we've talked about the characters somewhat, I want to kind of move on to the villains. Obviously, the villains are a big part of whether you're going to enjoy a story, and I think the main villain is a little generic, but does do his job well and does work very well with the main story, kind of fits in very well, and you feel genuinely hate towards him. You want to beat him, and then the game does make you kind of feel sympathy for why he did what he did, and it is a good sense of that, where he's not a complete villain, and you can kind of see why he's done what he's done, and that I kind of like. I hate when games make the villains too villainy, if that makes any sense, and they executed the villains very well. Now, the open world was executed perfectly. There's so much to do. There's so many little side things to do. Like fobs, they're brilliant. And when you walk around and you do those little side quests, you kind of see you trying to rebuild the ring. And I think there's a great sense of that when you just do the side quests. So, there's a great story to be told just doing the side quests outside of the main story. And for me, that makes it an amazing open world. So much to do on the side, and really expands the game outside of the short main story, which is just under 8 hours, or around 8 hours. Now, the gameplay for the single-player campaign is awesome. Especially with the boss battles implemented. Boss battles give you a sense of being on the edge of your seat, especially on the harder difficulties. It's so amazing. I don't think we could have asked for better boss fights. And boss fights make or break the gameplay for the campaign, in my opinion. And I think it's executed very well. The enemies have great variety, give you different things to fight, like every Halo game. Gives you some unique enemies that you might not expect, makes the game hard on every level, so it's not just a breeze. And especially the last few missions where you have to go through a survival training thing. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a horde, and you have to survive multiple levels, and it gets harder as you go up. And it's so amazing that you get to a real sense of the variety in the game, and it's so amazing. I definitely recommend this campaign, especially if you have Game Pass. So amazing. Overall, the campaign is one of the best, I think, in the Halo franchise. And out of all the things I listed, I think that proves it very much so. Now, the multiplayer was very disappointing at launch. I think there was very little content in there to begin with. Now, the lackability of being able to choose the game mode you want was so annoying. I don't want to play oddball. I want to play what I want to play. Oh my god. The amount of times I've gotten oddball is absurd, and I don't want to play it. But there's no option to not play oddball. It's just in one big playlist, and you don't really have a choice. And that's disappointing. Obviously, they're fixing it later, and I don't really care. You need to bring your A game when the game first launches, not to add content later. That's not how gaming works, and it's not how it should work. The luxury of being able to update a game afterwards does not give you the excuse to release a empty multiplayer game. That's not an excuse. You released a bland multiplayer to begin with, and that's on you. But now that's why it's as much as a disappointment that there's barely anything in the game, because the gameplay is amazing. They nailed the Halo experience. It's absolutely amazing. It was so close to being great. All it needed was content, and that is a serious disappointment. That the content is so underwhelming, but the gameplay is so amazing. Now, the gameplay really brings you back to that Halo 2, Halo 3 kind of gameplay. They scrapped the Halo 5 gameplay, which, thank God, because I did not like that Halo 5 gameplay at all. Halo 4 gameplay, I think, is what I'm necessarily talking about. Halo 5 was alright in a sense, but Halo 4 was awful. Now, the maps, I love the maps. Some of them are underwhelming, but most of them are solid maps. They're really amazing. And again, give you that old Halo vibe. Kind of allow you to just go through and enjoy the gameplay without playing on bland maps. They have identity, and you can kind of tell that they put time and effort into building them. And unfortunately, I have to talk about it. The items that you can pay for in the game. Buying the Battle Pass right now would be a huge mistake. You can't even get anything to do with upgrading your Battle Pass tier. It is an absolute grind to do anything with the Battle Pass. The weekly challenges are atrociously bad to do with just roaming or I mean they're so annoying. Like headshots. Why? I don't want to focus on headshots. I want to play the game. Some of them are really out of the ordinary and force you to stop playing the game in order to do your weekly challenges, which is stupid. And the worst atrocity yet is the microtransactions in their shop. You can buy a blue skin for $10. You can buy a slightly grayer, better looking gray suit for $20. That's not okay. The microtransactions are egregiously bad and are completely out of greed, and the way that you upgrades out of greed. The shop is greedy. Do not buy anything until it is fixed. And before I give my final review, I want to say it would have been a 9 out of 10, just if it was a campaign. But due to the multiplayer being as greedy and as bland as it is, my final review is a underwhelming but still amazing 7 out of 10. And after the multiplayer is fixed, it's going to be a 9 out of 10. But that's only after you fix the greediness and the blandness of your multiplayer. Stop releasing games early if they're not ready. And the last thing I need to say is thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please hit the like button. And if you really, really enjoyed and want to see more in the future, Forza Horizon 5 coming soon, then please hit the subscribe button.